Raising the bar. Adam Barr is in the house. He's a financial expert, entrepreneur, and author. Thank you so much for being with us today on #Wealth Wednesday. You're the perfect addition to this conversation. Would you mind sharing with us a bit of your personal journey from poverty to massive success?
Sure. Yeah. So first of all, thank you for having me. I grew up in Israel, a small little town in Israel. I grew up a Hasidic little boy, son of a rabbi, and I had some unfortunate events that happened as a child, some abuse, a lot of bullying, and I decided to rebel. And the perfect path for rebelling was, guess what? Bodybuilding, right? So I wanted to be strong. I wanted to make sure that I can protect myself, make sure that my mom is protected as well in an abusive relationship. And bodybuilding taught me a lot of discipline and got me into wanting to do some TV. I saw a magazine, Flex magazine, with Arnold Schwarzenegger on the cover, and he was this like a superhero kind of character, and I wanted to be that. And I thought that if I'll take that direction, I'll be able to come to America and be a superstar and be in the movies. And that's how my journey had brought me to the United States.
I love that.
Yeah. Tell us
now.
Tell us now. Now what? Financial powerhouse.
The finance industry.
So I got into finance. So I came to New York with $400 in my pocket. I didn't speak any English at all.
Wow.
Maybe a couple of words, yes and no. And I landed not knowing where I'm going to go, how to communicate with people, and I worked for a few dollars an hour, $5 an hour in New York, doing some air-conditioned duct tape in the freezing cold in new construction buildings. And I started getting my way into musical theater. And so I started singing and did a lot of musicals all over the East Coast. And one day I played basketball and someone elbowed me and crushed my voice box, crushed my larynx. And all of a sudden, I find myself not being able to use my instrument and lose my confidence, not being able to communicate. And I thought to myself, now what? I came to pursue this dream in America to give back and to really inspire other people using that platform. And all of a sudden, all of that is gone. Now what? And so I realized that planning was a really important piece, because it wasn't about what I was able to make, it was about what I was able to keep and plan. And so having multiple surgeries without having health insurance, you can imagine how expensive this could be. And I ended up in Los Angeles coming to have additional surgeries coming from New York, and that got me into the financial world. I started reading books about finance and planning, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Automatic Millionaire, a whole bunch of those, Millionaire Next Door. And all of a sudden I realized that, there's a lot of those opportunities for people to learn those lessons. And unfortunately, we don't learn this in school. And so I wanted to volunteer, and I volunteer with an organization called Operation Hope to bring that knowledge about financial literacy to other people.
So you've faced some incredibly devastating even adversity in your life. What have you learned about resilience along the way? How have you maintained the strength and the faith that you have?
Yeah, so I think the first lesson for resilience was after being abused, right? When I was working out, and I remember the first time I went to the gym, I didn't even have money to have a gym membership as a teenager. And I said to the gym owner, I would like to be the strongest guy in the country. And I remember vividly the guy laughed at me. And I said, wow, how does this person knows what my inner strength is all about? And later on, I did become Mr. Israel. I became the #1 in the country. That was the first lesson. After the injury there, in this one, this was a much more introspective experience, because when you lose your voice and you cannot communicate and you write a lot of things down and you have a spiritual journey of growth, and it becomes more about other people as opposed to yourself, and that growth for me became a super, I would say, one of the most meaningful experiences in my life.
Wow, I love that. You know, it'd be interesting to know how your Jewish community is accepting of really this is a energy path that you're on, understanding the power of your mind, understanding this. How's it been received in your community?
It's, you know, one of the biggest gratitude, and I talked about how I opened my morning with gratitude, is the fact that I did get this education within the Jewish community, because what we learn from a very young age to appreciate the journey and whatever it is that we got, the universe brings our way. And so I think as long as we're authentic and we are with integrity within the process, and you know, whatever it is, whatever challenge that is, I think people accept it and respect the fact that we have different journeys. And so, you know, even though my parents are super religious and super spiritual, I think the fact that I didn't go in that direction, they realized they wanted me to be successful in whatever I do. And as long as I leave a positive impact on the world and a legacy, that's really what they support.
I love that. So how are you applying what you've learned sort of about resiliency and strength and authenticity to the work that you do now in finance?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because money, we all think, a lot of people, and before I got into the financial world, I thought money is reserved to those individuals who are coming from a wealthy family, or they have, you know, had some luck in their life, or they're, you know, went to Ivy League schools, and all of those things that we think looking from the outside in. And it's really, a lot of it is about mindset. It's about really an aspiration, is something that we kind of beginning with the end in mind and saying, here's the impact, here's the legacy, here is what I want to create. And only that begins the journey of reverse engineering the future that we want to have, right? I said a lot is that when we aim at nothing, we hit it with incredible accuracy, right? And so,
That's so true.
So true.
so whatever it is that we want in our life, right? Let's say we want a house, and that's something that just gives us a GPS to that destination, right? And when we have that GPS, when we have that target, we can reverse engineer that. Because if, you know, we live in LA and houses here are pretty pricey, right? $1 million is kind of like we would call it almost a shack, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, someone might think, and they might say, oh, I can never get a house, you know, for $1 million. But in reality, right, when you know that destination, all of a sudden you can find out that you could put 3.5% down, which is now only $35,000, or you can put 10%, or you can put 20%. And $35,000, if you divide it by 3 years, it's only $1,000 a month. And that becomes, oh, I might be able to do that. Or if you'd say, I have a goal for 5 years, now it's become a little bit over $500 a month.
I love that.
So that's kind of like more important to have the goal and then really understand, you know, what is the quantification of it, and then I can really take action. Because without action, we all know what happened, right?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Nothing.
I
right?
love that. Thank you so much for just breaking it down. And I think we get so overwhelmed, like it's just way out of our league. And when you break it down simply like that, it just becomes tangible. So thank you for that. And thank you so much for your journey and sharing. You've been, wow, what a story you have. It's intense.
Yeah.
And thank you for showing up fully for your life, and for so many people, I'm sure, look up to you and follow your journey. So tell others, people, where they can follow your journey and how they can find you.
Absolutely. So you can find me at RTB, raisethebar.rtb, and also on our website, Raise the Bar Financial Group. And I have a book coming out. It's called The Financial Powerhouse, which will help you realize the 4 stages of wealth building, wealth growth, enjoyment of wealth, and then sharing wealth and giving back and creating a legacy.
I'm really interested in that enjoyment of wealth part. That's
Yeah.
That's the first 2, and then
fair enough. Can I have somebody else do that for me?
Thank you so much. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more on Good Morning La La Land.